Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Magic Beans podcast. This is episode 106, and I'm Cracker. I'm going to be your host for this evening. And I'm joined by one of the beans in Chewy. How are you, mate?
I'm very, very well. Always happy to have you taking the reins, mate.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. And we've got a special guest tonight, Chewy.
A bean sprout.
We do. Someone who we've tagged in at the last minute. Our statistician and numbers expert, Mr. J. Mudd. How you doing?
I am doing very well, thank you, Cracker. What an honour to be here.
It's good to have you, mate. I think this is long overdue, actually. You've been, a part of our community since the very start, I think. Well, very early on.
Since you kindly opened up the doors and let us in, for sure.
Yeah, so it's good to have you.
You haven't made us regret opening the doors just yet, but that's great. And you're fresh off some commentary at our Invi, which we'll touch on a little bit tonight. Great job to yourself and Maddie P in the commentary box booth.
Don't forget Ties.
Yeah. Oh, and I was just a great job to you and Maddie P. But yes, Ties was like no. Ties did a great job as always. I did refer to us as the 18. It's always good fun. It's nice to bring in other people and get that different perspective, and you certainly provided that, and it's very good. Very good.
All right, Ties, I just want you to make note that it was Chewy throwing beats at you this week, not me, all right? It was me last week, but, he started writing angry comments in the Discord.
It's always one of us, Ties, but it's because we love you.
It's exactly right.
Exactly right.
All right, so we've got a couple of things to get through this week, and speaking of the Invi, we need to talk about the people who made that possible. Chewy, tell us all about it.
Wow. So anybody who tuned in for the Invi would have seen us giving away like Modern Horizons 2 collector boosters and all that sort of stuff. And all of that stuff is provided by the amazing folk at Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. So they put in the bulk of the $3,000 worth of cash and prizes that we've given out for the Invi, and then who knows how much we've given out over the course of the year. So what we do is absolutely made possible by these guys. They are a Facebook auction group where you can bid on physical Magic cards every single night, 7 days a week. And they have mint primo auctions on the weekend. They are my favourite to peruse. I very rarely win those bids. I get outbid pretty quickly. But it's amazing, though. You can pick up some absolute bargains. I picked up some cube cards this week, which is good. Just in time for the Christmas break where we intend to do some cube. Nice. But yeah, they are an amazing organisation at Josh and Pat's. Their full-time auctioning, it means that you have the absolute best of communication and speedy shipping that you could absolutely ask for. So yeah, check them out, jpmtgbazaar.com.au. And when you do win an auction, be sure to tell them that the beans sent you.
Awesome. Thank you, mate.
You must have quite a few cubes going at this rate. Chewy?
Mine I'm always iterating on. And Polywaffle's got the vintage cube, which you've had the joy of playing a couple of times now, I think. And Shorty's got a pauper cube. So I'm just slowly finding my cube's range sort of somewhere in between. So around the legacy power level, I think so, and just trying to add in new archetypes, support the ones that are already there. So, for example, this week I won an old frame Intangible Virtue because I want the token strategy. Because I know Cracker loves drafting green and white.
It's my favourite.
Yeah, so wanting to, maybe like an Abzan tokens strategy or archetype that I'm trying to support a little better in the cube. Some token producers like, Bitter Blossom already existed, but yeah, trying to just bring in a bit more and support for those colours that are drafted less often. And I generally just get my cards from Josh and Pat's because, you can just pick up those bargains and it's fantastic. Check them out.
All right. So, main topic, and the reason we brought Mr. Mudd on is because I was indisposed on the weekend, unfortunately. I'm in the midst of moving house. Hooray, I have a house to move to, which is good news.
Congrats.
So I was in and out of the cast. I was catching as much as I could whilst doing other things, and you guys put on an awesome show. You really did.
I had fun. Did you have fun, J-Mo?
I loved it. It was a very smooth operation too. You guys are a well-oiled machine at this point.
we've started to figure it out, I think. And like, shout out Shorty. I know we give him a fair bit of grief, and you know he oftentimes deserves it. But credit where it's due. He put in a lot of work and has been building the stream and the production really, really well. And Polywaffle was behind the camera, pressing the buttons, doing that sort of production work, supported by Shorty, and with yourself, Maddie P and Tyres jumping in to do commentary. But Maddie P was also the person behind the scenes, running giveaways, organising matches. Yeah. So, you know, it would be remiss to talk about the Envy without starting with that. Like the effort that the guys went into, like Shorty and Polywaffle were there from 7 a.m, and we left at 7:00 that night, plus all of the late nights that everybody put in. So yeah, to the beans that were involved and the people that have beans adjacent, like yourself, J Mud, thank you. Could not have done it without you. It was a real team effort, and I loved it, and I just hope everybody else enjoyed it half as much as I did.
Yeah, I mean, look, sitting on the outside for this one, it just shows. Like, I thought we did a really good job with the Invy last year. Like, I was super proud of the effort we put together and the show we put on, and just like, well, how did we get better than this? And this year's just kind of taken it to a whole new...
You had J Mud.
It's gone to another level. It's just like bad, movie things. But
how many cliches can we throw out?
Yeah, we could do a lot, I'm sure. But it really has. We've stepped up our game.
We're taking it 1 week at a time. Yeah.
But seriously, it's, there's been a lot of concerted effort, and it shows. Like, it's like you said, it's a really smooth running machine now, and it really comes through as a really well-polished production, particularly given that, this is a little hobby. It's a side thing for all of us. None of us have got any expertise in art or, video direction or, any of that kind of stuff. We're
certainly not getting paid for it. Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly not getting paid for it. But, it's a labor of love. And I'm super, super proud of everything that we've managed to put together. So well done. And one of the things that I think made the Envy so good was the sick gameplay, because there were some banging matches that we had.
There was some crackers, and there was some really good ones off camera too. Unfortunately, we couldn't cover them all. The nature of top 16 double elimination is there is just a lot of matches to play. Sorry, I looked away from my microphone there. Sorry if I dipped. But there's a lot of matches to play, and we cannot cover them all. And we missed some really, really tight ones. Skips J had a couple of intense ones, and needed some fresh air after a very narrow win at one point. So it's it was pretty amazing. What's a highlight for you there, J Mud? What was your favourite play or misplay or anything that you saw?
Now, I had the pleasure of watching P-Jaw's Mono Red try to show us a thing or two. Didn't quite play out. Let me just try and run through the matches that I was covering. Okay. I got to see... Oh, look, the highlight that I got to witness or comment on was, of course, the ultimate grudge match, which was Rolling Royce versus Jedi's Walker in the pre-finals, the semi-finals. And you had Rolling Royce representing the mono green juggernaut, and Jedi's playing what turned out to be the best is-it combination from a couple of different combinations that were on offer for the day. But the big news story heading into that was, of course, the history between the two this year. Thanks to someone who had the stats put the stats together, we were aware that these two had played each other 6 times throughout the course of this year in Beans events. And the stats were slightly one-sided in favour of Rolling Royce.
Just a little.
Just a little. He had won all 6 of those matches heading into this match. So Jedi's was, of course, very pleased to pull out a win from that match. If you win 1 of 7 matches, you better make it the semi-finals in the end-of-year Invitational.
Absolutely. And Cracker did introduce you as a statistician, and that is one of the things that you did. So you trawled Challenge, which is the site that we use to sort of manage our leagues, and you came up with that, which was huge. And can't thank you enough for that. And, it's one of those things that takes time and, it comes from your passion and can be a bit of a thankless thing. So I just want to take the moment to say thanks for that because it added to the drama, it added to the fun, and there was already plenty on the line in that match.
Yeah.
But yeah, that research, that work that you did sort of added to it and it made it very, very good. So yeah, I very much enjoyed that.
I thought the thing you were going to say that you had the pleasure of seeing up close and personal was the double Fetchland pack that Maddie P.
I was going to say that, but then I realised I was expected to remember some of the magic.
I mean, no, that was pretty magic. That was a bananas pack. One of them wasn't it a extended art Misty?
Both of them were extended arts. One of them was foil.
Yeah,
it's a Misty and a Catacombs, if I'm remembering correctly.
I think it was a Marsh Flats.
Marsh Flats.
And the most stunning thing about it, because I had the pleasure of being on air whilst Matty P opened it, the most stunning thing was he had the audacity to call that shot before he opened the pack. He said, we've opened these packs, we haven't done a Painland yet, so I'm calling a Painland in this pack. And he proceeds to open two of them.
That's like Gabe Nassif, Cruel Ultimatum mana level called shots from Matty P. And so for those who have no idea what we're talking about, so when we stream these things on Twitch, we do on-stream giveaways. And during our Invi, and we're not going to give away these every single time we stream because, but it was a special occasion. So we had a full collector's box of MH2. So, we gave away a number of Fetchlands over the course of the day and some other very, very good cards like Voidwalkers and all of the other shiny stuff you get out of MH2. But 2 Fetchlands, one being foil in the same pack, one being a Misty as a blue EA fetch is incredible. So, yeah, I was a bit jealous I wasn't on air for that one, J-Mutt. That was very, very cool. For me, Rolling Royce provided two highlights for me. One highlight was kind of 2 highlights in the same match, and one was a highlight for a kind of separate reason. So the first one was the incredible top decks in one of the early rounds where he was playing against Linden, I believe, and the Rolling Royce took that match down by top decking the Ulvermold Oddity off the top at the perfect time twice in one match. Just like better lucky than good, Rolling Royce, but you're also good. So I don't know how you do it. It's that's why you put those cards in your deck for that exact situation, and they showed up at the right time. So that was absolutely incredible. And then... Sorry, J-Man, go.
One of those was also a spectacular recovery, if I remember correctly, after being the victim of an auto-tapping incident.
That was going to be my next point. Absolutely. Good segue. Yeah. So there was some old growth trolls enchanting some forests, and the auto-tapper meant that they were tapped for mana because they had 2, and there was like a Snakeskin Veil from memory in play, but not the green mana to activate it or to cast that spell. So, and it put Rolling Royce in a terrible spot and looked like it may have cost him the match. But yeah, the Oddity off the top caught him up and got the job done. So yeah, absolutely. Rolling Royce was very, very entertaining to watch. Played very, very well. You could really tell why Rolling Royce was, in the Invi, why they'd made it that far. And then, they got some entertaining little top decks as well. And that was fun to cover. And, to be the person calling that action, it was pretty great. So, yeah, Cracker, I know you were in and out. Did you have a highlight?
I can't think of one off the top of my head because it was kind of in the midst of doing a bunch of other stuff, but just how polished it was, it was really great the way that, we transition between the different screens and working out what's going on. And it was just really nice to, see some different people in commentary and get to watch bits of it. So I don't have a particular match. Epiphanies. There was definitely some chained epiphanies that, all of a sudden was just like, oh, this game is over now. Like, we thought this might happen, like it came down to that, which is fine. I mean, that's why you play the card. So I
Absolutely.
guess we should maybe run down the list. We haven't even said, Jedi's Walker 1 playing Epiphany. And then we had AV Cable on Mono White, Royce on Mono Green, and K-Pop Fanboy on Grixis Horror. Oh no, it's Blue Red Horror with a like tiny splash of white.
Yeah, and so good decks, and the horror decks, the Epiphany decks, and the mono aggro decks. So pretty good representation of kind of what you expect in the metagame, making top 4. So I think that's pretty much expected, and it was really hard to call who would be in the top 4. It could have been any one of those 16 players. So
was it fair?
Yeah, it's a
all the meta made it to the last 4. It was really well done. It's only black white. What do we call it? Black white.
Laws of Control.
Laws of Control. That was a little bit unlucky because it's the metagame it's designed to target, of course, is the small aggressive decks that are designed to target the Izzet decks. But all Laws of Control saw was Izzet decks in the end. So they had an unlucky run, and we lost both of our Orzhov representatives early on. That was a shame.
I agree. That could have been very different.
Yeah. I did like seeing P-Jaw get to kind of pop off at one point with the Moonvale Regent in play. Like Stu and I would hoped we'd get to see, where he was just kind of
chaining,
drawing a bunch of cards and kind of chaining things together in an attempt to get that deck to do something spectacular. He played it very well, but ultimately didn't quite get there. But it was good to see, like, there's definitely something there. Like, we've got these cards for a while still, so it'd be interesting to see if there is
absolutely
something that we can do in the future. It's always nice to look at what's going to come up. And look, mono red always gets better as standard gets bigger, so it'd be keen to see that happening.
It will be back.
I've got a soft spot for Moonvale Regent. The one time I've made Mythic, it played a very, very big part in that, and obviously it lives in the shadow of the other dragon in standard at the moment, and probably rightly so. But that card does do work, and it's a power creep, right? Like, green cards draw cards, and now red cards are starting to draw cards, and the other one makes a whole bunch of mana. So yeah, very interesting. Before we move on, I just do want to have a shout out to the chat during the Invi. It was there was a lot of banter, a lot of good times. Sefford, if you're listening, keep the dad jokes rolling. I love them. There was some good trolling from a couple of the Beans' wives, or the beanbags as they've dubbed themselves, and that was super fun as well. I felt like I was hanging out, with a whole bunch of mates, not just the people in the room. So I hope everybody kind of felt that way. It was it felt like a real community moment. And without sounding sappy, I'm going to sound sappy and say I loved it.
That's all right. You're allowed to sound sappy.
Excellent.
Because in comes Cracker with the next topic. We're going to move on. But if this sounded like fun and you wanted to get in on it, we've finished our leagues, and the Invi was kind of the crowning event for the year. But we're going to do it again next year. So join our Discord. There'll be links in the show notes. I'll put them in there, and come hang out. Join in next time.
Free to join. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So yesterday we had a surprise announcement, because Wizards likes to do that every now and again. They clearly were, felt we'd been far too long without looking at new cards. It's been at least 3 weeks. So there are new cards to look at now. We got Unfinity started to be previewed. Now, Unfinity doesn't come out until April Fool's Day.
Was that far ahead?
We're like 5 months out or whatever it is. It's still a very long way off. But this is the next in the unset. We've had Unhinged, Unglued, Unstable was the last one, right? That was a couple of years ago. And this one is called Unfinity. So I was reading some of Maro's description about where this set came from. That's Mark Rosewater. He's the lead designer for this particular set. He's one of the lead designers for all of Magic. And he's wanted to do a circus trope theme for a while. He's wanted to have a circus themed Magic set for years, he was saying, but it never quite fit because Magic is a very very serious game. We all take it horribly seriously. There's no jokes in it at all. And he couldn't make it work. And so then he got together with, one of the artists who was going to start working on this project with him. They did some other live stuff, and they went through all of the circus tropes they could and ran out really quickly. So then they extended that to carnies and carnival kind of tropes as well, and then ran out of things there really quickly too. And the artist who was working with, she said, well, I've always wanted to do like a retro space themed thing. So they decided to just jam them all together, and now we have Unfinity. So that gives you kind of the flavor of the set. And so we've got...
I've been watching Cowboy Bebop on Netflix recently, and it fits really well with that. If you enjoy Cowboy Bebop, I think you'll enjoy the art of this set a lot.
Yeah, parts of it remind me of like the Jetsons and like what was the Robinson family...
the
Space Robinson family?
The Space
they
Robinson
remade that
family.
Is that what it's called?
No, it's called...
Lost in Space.
Thank you very much.
Right, but it was the Robinson family, right?
Yes, Will Robinson. Yes.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool. That's
the OG one, the original one was... Yeah.
Not the terrible movie with Matt LeBlanc in it, you mean?
No, then there was a Netflix series maybe 2 years ago.
Still going.
That's right.
Still going.
Yeah. Also, I lost interest in that pretty quickly. It was pretty, but yeah, the original series is better. And the references in Unfinity seem to be more towards the OG.
It's very much that kind of 60s take on
sci-fi
future space.
Yeah, a little bit Art Deco along the way with some of the stuff as well. So, but not silver bordered this time.
No. So if you've played any of the previous sets, they have always been silver bordered sets, which means they are not tournament legal. They're not legal in anything except for their own, draft.
Universe.
Yeah, exactly. They're a standalone kind of product. It was like a week or two, the rules committee errated that silver bordered cards were legal in Commander, and all silver bordered cards were legal in Commander for like 2 weeks, probably because Wizards said, hey, can you please really do this so we can sell a bunch of these packs? So they did, and, whatever. You force things onto the Commander community and you get a lot of opinions either way. I didn't have any because we didn't play with it at all, but that's fine. So they've kind of made a change this time. It's all black bordered. And that's important because there are a number of cards that will be legal in Eternal sets. So supplemental products that get printed like Commander sets. So anything that doesn't go through like a normal set rotation through Standard doesn't land in Standard or Modern, but they will land in formats, the Eternal formats of Vintage and Legacy. So cards that are printed in Commander, like True Name Nemesis, right, is a prime example of that. It's, you get protection from a player, effectively. So, their stuff can block it, you can't target it with removal spells, all that sort of stuff. And it was a really big deal because you chose a target player. And in Commander, that's great because it was a 3-1 and you could choose one person that got protection from, and there were like 2 other people at the table. So it was a bit of politics and whatever. But, in Legacy, it became a real issue because there was very few ways to very cleanly deal with it. So, these things can have some further reaching implications. Now,
on True Name Nemesis, my favourite True Name Nemesis thing ever is I had both a Sword of Fire and Ice and an Umezawa's Jitte equipped to it in a 7-point Highlander match. I won that game.
I wonder why.
It was good. Just
pegging things, drawing cards, throwing counters around.
It's so good.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
Also a 5-3.
Yeah, 5-3
True Name is a pretty good block.
Things, right? Yeah. It was very good.
So all that is to say that this set is no longer silver bordered. So there will actually be... They've decided to go with an Acorn stamp. An Acorn hollow stamp. So I don't know if you boys ever paid attention to it, but on Rares and Mythics, right at the bottom in the center...
There's a little oval, right?
Correct. There's a little oval hollow stamp that says this is an official Wizards thing. It's the little Planeswalker symbol.
Right.
That's the only way you're going to be able to differentiate between cards that are legal in sets like Commander and Legacy and Vintage, and then cards that are not. So anything that doesn't have an Acorn stamp in it will be legal, and anything that does won't, which was suitably confused by the fact that Wizards previewed the buy box promo with the normal oval symbol on it, but in fact it was supposed to have the acorn symbol. So just Wizards things. I don't know how they manage to do this all the time. Anyway, so they've previewed just a few cards. I think there's 5 at the moment. I'm not going to run through them all now, but there are some notable reprints that are going into this set.
I think J-Mud, can you tell us about these reprints, these lands that we've seen once or twice before, and they're getting a bit of a fresh new look?
It's just no big deal, really. I mean, they're only reprinting the most valuable lands. Is it true to say they're the most valuable lands on the market? Reprinting the shock lands. They did say they were going to...
I was going to say OG Jewels.
Aside from those. Most valuable non-reserve list, non-fetch land, I guess.
They did promise that they were going to reprint these sometime this year. They just neglected to mention it was going to be in the next unset. So we've got the full range.
Yeah, there's all 10.
All the way from Hallowed Fountain to Breeding Pool. I think the biggest deal here is, of course, the art is spectacular.
I am in love with the Godless Shrine, just quietly. Like, that Dark Side of the Moon, that is just stunning. Absolutely love it. What I like about it is it looks like Damnation.
Yes, it does.
In it. Yeah, and it fits. It's so thematic. It's just gorgeous. One of my favourite all-time Magic arts. If you haven't seen it, just pause the cast, Google it,
check them out,
and have a look.
They're all,
and we're back. And you agree with me? Thank you.
They're all in the Lost in Space / Jetsons style thing. So they're all got a spacey theme to them. So it's magic in space, and it does work. They do look gorgeous, and it's somewhat traditional that the unset has gorgeous full frame lands, isn't it? They are
very much so.
They're a reason to buy the unset, even if they're silver bordered.
Yeah, so the original Unglued was the first one, I think.
Yes.
And that was the first time we saw full art basic lands. And if you have got like an original foil full art island, they're worth like $50 or something. They're like an expensive basic.
I think the first one that came out, they didn't come in foil from memory. But then when Unhinged came out with those, I think they were marked pool art ones. They were up to like $90 at one point.
They probably still are.
Yeah. It was. They're very nice.
Yeah, and so they've got full art basics again, and for memory, there's a couple of different types as well. So there's a couple of different art styles for each of them. So what do you boys think about this being sort of legal in other formats?
I've never personally focused beyond the standard format, never invested beyond standard, so it doesn't affect me personally, but it does feel confusing. The unset experience is supposed to be casual play, isn't it?
They're always like whimsical sets.
And it's sort of, there's this extra layer of stuff you can't do with normal cards. Things you're never going to do for real in a competitive environment. And now half the set has real stakes or viable cards, and the other half just gets to be silly and stupid. If it's a good ploy to make it more, so you get more people to invest in it, for sure. But what sort of effect is it going to have on the experience? Is it good?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a marketing ploy to sell more of this, and Wizards are allowed to be a business and sell cards, but it is very confusing at the cost of that. And like, Secret Lair exists. Why not release a Secret Lair with these lands in conjunction with the release of the unsets? With the the same themed art. Maybe because they're going to do that anyway. I don't know, but. What's legal, what's not, someone's going to get confused at some point, and there's going to be, Commander players I'm thinking of, it's like, come on, man, that's an Acorn, you can't play that card, type stuff.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. So I find it confusing, and it's at the player confidence versus revenue. There's that same line that Wizards often walks, right? So I feel like they're very close to that line this time around. So
I think we have to assume. Sorry, Craig. I think we have to assume that if it's got an Acorn on it, it's just straight up silly. It's just straight up fun, whimsical, silly, the sort of stuff that you just can't get away with playing in a real game. And anything else, which is just mere flavor or space stuff, but the mechanics behind it is reasonable, if not broken, then those are the ones that are going to be not the Acorn.
Yeah, so there is the guest category of cards in this set where the guest cards are going to be legal in the Eternal formats or be reprints. So, you can play your, shiny new overgrown tomb, which is a spaceship with plants growing out of it in your modern deck, for example, or your historic deck. So, I don't know if it's going to be on Arena, whether, there'll be a special event and then you could get a special card style for these. I guess we'll have to see that come next April. But yeah, I think it's just confusing, and maybe releasing it this early is going to give us a moment to kind of figure that out and get used to the idea. I don't know, but yeah, I love the lands. I love the art. I'm super excited for them. I want them, but they don't really fit with the sets, right?
The lands, you mean, or just
the releasing of the lands? Yeah.
No, I think the lands are a really good fit. I like the fact that they've just gone, this is a good spot to put them in. And, they've always done, it's kind of been, like we said, the hallmark of these sets has been just beautiful art lands. And, that's always been the draw card. I think for me, I don't know. I'm in two minds. I think that the implementation of this idea is awful. I don't know whether the idea itself is awful, having some legal cards and others. It's pretty confusing, but there are so many formats now with so many different ban lists. Like, if you want to get into something, you kind of just have to go with it. There have been multiple times where I'm like, I remember ages ago, Chewy, I was like, dude, imagine if Disciple of the Vault was legal in Modern. Like, how good would that be in Affinity? And we were like, it is. Like, we just thought for whatever reason it had been banned, or, so there's stuff like that. I think that, we can deal with a level of complexity, but just if you're going to make some of it not legal and some of it legal, just print the stuff that isn't legal in Silver Border. Like, just be done with it. Like, just go, here's the stupid stuff. This is Silver Border. Here's the stuff you can play. Anything that way, just like anything that is black bordered is legal. Anything that is not, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Just
fair.
That's just and I understand that, like, when you open your pack, it might look a bit weird, but we have so many different art styles now. You've got altered arts, or, like, you've got extended frame. I mean, we had the showcase thing. Like, if you look at all the different art styles that we had in just like Eldraine, you could have like 3 different variants of the same card
in the same pack
at the same time. Yeah, basically. Like, I think we can deal with that, the fact that the art looks a little different, but it's just one tiny little insignificant symbol that no one pays any attention to. It's like the set symbol. Like, unless you're like trying to remember, what's that crazy looking, weird M-shaped thing, and you're like, that's like Onslaught, or what's the palm tree? And you're like, that's Mirage. But it doesn't matter. Like, no one cares. It isn't relevant to anything, unless you're trying to work out whether, that was legal in Modern at the time, or something like that. So, I get what they're doing, and they are doing it to sell more product. And, from what they were saying, the last set sold really well. Like, really, really well. Apparently it was like an excellent draft format.
It seemed fun.
Across the board. Like, it kind of just got rave reviews, even from people who had no interest in unsets. But the problem with them has always been that you finish the draft and you're like, I got a sweet land. These are just going in the bin now because there's just no point to them. The other thing with this set, we're going to have collector boosters.
Well, that's why they've dropped the silver borders.
Yeah, I guess so. Because, you need to have
full frame arts.
Sure.
And alt arts.
But to Cracker's point, if you can't do anything with them, like, you're going to go through, the first thing you're going to look at in the collector booster is you're going to take all the Acorns and you're just going to put them aside, and then you're going to have a look at the cards that are actually relevant to your commander deck, to your modern deck, to your legacy deck, whatever, and they're the ones you're going to be excited about, right? Like, if there might be the most stunning art mythic Acorn / silver border, equivalent, but you can go, that's great. It's a collector booster. I'm not drafting this. I can't play it anywhere. Unless I'm playing kitchen table Magic with some friends built around then, it's kind of a blank piece of cardboard, no matter how beautiful it might be, and foil. So,
but, for some people that's enough. There are people who just want to collect
everything,
one of each, and put it in a binder and just have these cool, funny joke things to look at and read. So,
that's a small percentage of the market, though.
I agree. Totally. It's a very small percentage. And look, I'm glad that this product exists. I am. But it's never been one for me. And it's kind of annoying that it feels like they're forcing it to now be a product for me because I'm interested in.
How large a percentage of the market is Polywaffle again?
He's of the Australasian market, probably 50%. So he'll buy some.
He'll get them all.
He'll buy some, I'm sure. Yeah.
Interesting you say that. The last couple of sets, he really hasn't been buying at all.
Huh.
He wants value, but I think these Shocklands and such will, and we've seen a very small number of cards released so far. Previews.
We've seen 4. So, look, it's a full set. It's, like I said, it's like 6 months away. So, I mean, we've spent ages on this, and everyone will forget about it again until, March when they start.
I have to share my outrage, Cracker.
Correct. Like I said to Stu,
I'm not that outraged.
No, neither am I. It's just, it's a thing. It's interesting.
I'll play
Wizards continually makes it interesting. And look, the other thing about the unsets is they actually use it as a proving ground for a lot of ideas.
Yes.
So, if you remember, Chewy, the BFG, the big fairy monster BFM, the
the split card.
99.99. Yeah. So if you look at that, that's actually like the meld cards that we saw.
Yeah, Gisela and whatever the other angel
Bruna?
was. Yep.
So they've done things in these unsets as like kind of the test platform. We also saw in the last set the cards where you could join them together. So you could play like a front half and then you'd play like a back half and join them together. And it's actually like an early version of Mutate.
It was.
Yeah, good call.
So you could play like a shark and then a man, or like a shark octopus or whatever it was.
Sharktopus.
Build your own thing. So they definitely use it for those kinds of things. And in this set, there's a lot of like dice rolling. We've just seen a whole bunch of dice rolling in Adventures of the Forgotten Realm. So it has its place. Anyway.
Yeah,
check out the art at the least.
Yeah, it's stunning. It's stunning. But that's 5 months away. What is very, very close in comparison by this weekend, probably as you're listening to this, is a bit of an event on Arena that we've been very much looking forward to. What's happening this weekend?
It's the Arena Draft Open.
Stop it, drafting on Arena.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Okay.
Why is it taking them so long to get to this point?
Yeah, that's my question.
Because no one cares about draft.
People love draft. People love draft.
Most popular channel in the Discord.
I know. I had to say it because you guys are talking all the time.
So they've done sealed Arena Opens and obviously constructed both standard and historic, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So now actually getting draft. And for anybody who's been, listening to this podcast for any length of time knows that we've been calling for custom drafts where we can, draft with our friends and, get 8 people together. And like when Arena Cube's about, I'm all about that sort of stuff. So it'd be really fun. We want it for our leagues.
Yes, please.
This, they did it at Worlds where they drafted on Arena.
They did.
So they kind of tested it in that environment, which is
just quietly.
great.
There's a secret announcement tomorrow.
What?
As in, Wizards have said there's an announcement coming tomorrow.
Oh, did they announce an announcement?
They sure did, buddy.
That is so out of character.
I know.
But my first thought was, maybe we can do like individual draft pods now.
Oh, that'd be so
I guess the reason that they haven't done this before is it's actually much harder to run.
Yes, it is.
Because you need to have pods that fire. So if you've got constructed, you just need to find 2 people and pair them up. Same with sealed, right? You just get a sealed pool, you build a deck, and away you go. But draft is definitely much, much more difficult to do in a timely fashion on the scale of plays that they would expect for this type of event. So I guess that's why they haven't done it up to this point, making sure that the infrastructure will hold up, and fingers crossed it does. But, you don't want people sitting there waiting for a draft to fire for, 20 minutes or something like that. That's going to be an unpleasant experience.
But it's actually a realistic experience. If you've ever gone to your LGS on a Friday night waiting for the draft to fire, you pretty regularly sit around for 20 minutes waiting for people to show up. And then, you've got 6 and then 3 people come and they're like, oh, if we can't draft together, we don't want to, and you're going to wait some more. So it's actually realistic. So I'm all about it. It's actually
doesn't make it good.
The Magic limited experience. So
that's not the point of Arena at all, man.
But you don't want to. Yeah, that's fair. Arena is
Magic.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to say that. I enjoy Arena. It's just it's a and it's made Magic accessible to everybody, but. I'm a Magic boomer, and I just want people to know my pain. What I just said about that story was the Magic equivalent of walking uphill both ways to school every day, right? So, but anyway, we digress. Arena Open day 1, you can choose either best of 1 or best of 3. It's a pretty steep entry. And I think for some people, this might actually be a barrier to actually entering these events, but they've actually changed the entry structure to be consistent. So every single Arena Open, whether it be sealed, draft, or constructed, no matter what format, it's going to be 25,000 gold or 5,000 gems, which is an increase from 22,500 or 4,500.
I was about to ask that.
Sorry?
I was about to ask that. That is an increase in the open entry fees.
Yeah, it is. So it's gone up. The prize payout's also gone up. I don't know exactly the reasoning behind this. It's trying to get some of the gold and gems out of the economy, perhaps, I guess. But it's a... some people will be, put off by this. And, the draft format's also going to be a little bit different to what we're used to, particularly from a best of 3 perspective. So best of 1, so you sit down, you wait until there are 8 other players, and it's around the world, so you should get that, and you play until you get 7 wins or you get your 3rd loss. If you get to 7 wins, you progress to day 2. In best of 3, it's 4 wins or 1 loss. You have to go 4-0, which seems a bit harder than going 7-2. In my mind, perhaps. And then day 3 is all best of 3 until you get 8 wins.
Massive.
Or get your 2nd loss. So that seems really steep.
Seems insane.
Yeah.
That's like PT top 8 level drafting record.
Yeah.
It's
so
also,
you've got to go.
It's a long day.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Like, and that's what I was saying to.
It's like 15-2 or something, right? Yeah.
But you've got to play potentially 9 rounds, best of 3 draft. That is a massive day. That could easily be 8 or 9 hours.
Yeah, when you factor in drafting and building your deck.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and like time in between games and all that sort of stuff. Like it is a commitment of an entire day. And the sad reality of where we are is that, that's like Sunday night to Monday morning, usually.
We can't start before 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning.
Something gross like that.
Yeah, so it's they need to fix that. I think, like if they
need to do a region-based thing.
They do, and they've had that for other tournament organisers have had that and had it with some success. And if you look at the player base in Asia, which we can piggyback off here in Australia, then that's a fair share of the metagame, right? And then there's parts of Europe and then North America or the Americas. So there's 3 distinct regions where they can absolutely kick this off, just having separate start times. And if I wanted to start at 3 a.m, I could and get on the Americas one, but that's just not an option to have something in our region. So the price and the timing do make it difficult for us. All of that being said, are you going to get a chance to play in this one, J-Mud, do you think? I know you love some limited.
All that being said, I'm in.
I'm in also, yeah. I'm going to jam it. I'm going to do it.
I'll give it 1 crack.
Yeah, I've only got the gold to give it 1 crack, so I've been saving it up. But yeah, so Cracker, you're comfortable jumping into like a constructed one. Is this a bit out of your range, or is this something you'd be interested in doing?
I mean, I haven't drafted this format at all, so it just seems like a throw of a lot of gold for me. It's interesting. I'm glad that they're running it. I'm glad that draft is now a thing. Like, even though I don't play it as much as other formats, I think it's great. I really do like it when I get to do it. So it's sweet that we've now got this opened up to us. So I won't be firing one, particularly as I'm still, getting ready to move and all that fun stuff. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I look forward to seeing the decks that you guys managed to draft. And Chewy, you were saying before about best of one seeming like it's slightly easier. I did see the other statistician that's worth paying attention to in Dr. Frank Carsten. And he was saying
Mr.
best
Carsten.
of one is actually...
Mr. Carsten, come on.
What is
Who's he?
He's the Kmart J-Mud, just quietly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did he say about best of one?
It's easier to get through to day 2 on best of 1 than best of 3.
Yeah.
Based on a normal win rate,
yes.
He's saying it's an easier path. If you want to look him up, check him out, Carsten Frank on Twitter, and he's got graphs and game win rates, and he's got like, I don't even know how you describe the equation he's written because I don't know what one of those symbols is.
Maths, and it's for blockers. Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So intuitively looking at 7 wins or 7-2 or 4-1, like my gut tells me that 7 wins and 2 losses is easier to get than 4-0. But so it's good to have your instinct backed up by some trusted numbers from Frank. So that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very much in the camp of, I'm sure, what a lot of the slightly more casual players think, and that is, hang on a minute, if I go into the best of 3 queue and I lose my first match, I'm out?
Yes.
What? I want to at least play 3 times with this 25k entry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is a furious agreement there, J-Mud, because that's you're only going to get the super spiky players. So if you're not a mythic level limited player, just play best of 1. And anyone who knows me knows that I'm a huge supporter of playing best of 3, but in this instance, it's just not worth it in my mind.
We're all trying to maximize your EV, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Everyone loves their draft deck. Most of the time, you want to at least be invested in your draft deck by the time you've built it, and you want to have more than one crack at it. So there's no quicker way to tilting than to drop out of the best of 3 queue after 1 game and never get to play that thing again.
Exactly, and that's a really good point. Like you've made the commitment in the currency within Arena, and you've bought in with your gold or your gems. You have made 45 different decisions, or let's say 42 different decisions. You can't decide on the last pick on what to pick, and then you've built your deck. You've got your curve to something that's functional. You've decided whether you're going to splash that removal spell. You've figured out your mana base, and then you sit down and play. Like, that's a fair investment in a draft deck, and for that to just, in 5 minutes of mana screw or something just completely evaporate. Yeah, this model doesn't sit well with me when we've got a game with as much variance of that Magic does, right? So I would rather see this being a little more forgiving. But, they've crunched the numbers and figured out the best value from a business perspective, obviously. So that's what we're working with.
This format too, yeah? This particular set, it's very popularly described as a Prince set. So it's very easy to just find some player dropping... Oh, what's the biggest Prince in the set, Chewy?
I'm not sure what that terminology means.
Sorry, the biggest bomb. It's a bomb-heavy limited set.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely found that in Sealed. So open the 7 mana flash horror thing and you'll do well, right? So Hullbreaker Horror, that's the strategy. That's the limited advice that I can give.
Yes.
So
open the good ones.
I've had a couple of 7 wins. I've had 2 7 wins in this format in Sealed and 1 in Draft. But the 7-1 included Hullbreaker Horror, and the other was a blue-white hyper synergistic. Comes back as an enchantment from the graveyard mechanic called not Unearth.
Not
the other one,
not Embalm.
You know what I mean.
I do know what you mean. That one.
Yeah,
we're good at this thing.
Yeah. So that's yeah. So like I just got I opened the seal pool. It was hyper synergistic, and then I had a limited deck that was just brought the beat down, and I was clearly the only player in that color, so I kind of got more lucky than anything. So I've drafted a bunch to middling success. I can tell you it's a really fun draft format.
It is.
But yeah, sometimes you can have a really good deck. You can have a champion deck, but you get beaten by a champion, if that makes sense, like that Prince that you're referring to, J Mud. So sometimes it's just they were having a really good game of Magic. They played that thing. I couldn't deal with it, and I lost. So it's nice when you are in that seat, when you go, I was about to lose, and then I flashed in my whole Breach of Horror and got to untap with it, and that was all she wrote. But I feel like I'm on the receiving end rather than dishing it out more often than not.
There are a good handful of, oh, look, I've played this card, now I win the game sort of cards in this set. That is for certain. Massive Black Leech comes to mind.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Tox
so it's
roll.
You've got to have a bit of luck, which feels a bit sealed-ish for a draft format, but it's that's where we're at. There's some really powerful cards in this format that can kind of dominate the game.
So if you do manage to get all the way through and win all the way to day 2 and then all the way through day 2, you do win $2,500 US. So if you've got the time and, you're particularly good at it, there's some pretty good reward, which is actually up. It was $2,000 for a long time. So they've kind of bumped the prizes that come with it. But, give it a go. And like we said, the limited channel is always very active in our Discord. So after you've drafted your deck and if you want some tips on, the last couple of cuts you need to make, jump in there, post a picture, and you'll have a bunch of people definitely very keen to help you out.
Absolutely. So a quick Google tells $2,500 US dollars is $3,519.25 Australian.
Wow.
So not bad.
That dollar's really bad at the moment.
Yeah, it is. But that's like 3 jewel lands. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing that's actually happening this weekend is difficult to find information on because Wizards don't like to promote organised play, apparently. But there is the premier event on this weekend. So I believe it's the set championship or the equivalent. So it's like the old Pro Tour. It is both standard and historic. So if you're keen on checking out some coverage on that, the Magic Twitter will have information, but it'll be run on Twitch. So, there'll definitely be some high level play. They do a good job of the coverage, and they can put on a good show. So it'll definitely be worthwhile checking out if you're interested in standard and some historic decks and see what's going on with the most recent changes there. So I really enjoy getting to see super high level play. These people that are just truly excellent at the game. You always learn something from watching those.
They are much better than us.
They are definitely, and that's why they get to play in these events. So it's pretty great that we still get to see some of that. And it'll be it's all an arena event, so tune in at some point, check it out in between your limited rounds. The last couple of things just to wrap up the show, we are going to do another live stream in a couple of weeks for the final podcast for the year. So on the 16th, we're going to do a bit of a Christmas special. We have a bunch of giveaways. We've still got more stuff, Chewy.
Yeah.
We've still got product just lying around that we don't know what to do with.
Josh and Pats have sent us I've got a box.
Well, don't tell them.
Oh, okay.
So you got to tune in, man. You got to come and hang out on Twitch in a couple of weeks. So it's the 16th. It'll be on Thursday night. We usually start about 9 p.m. Eastern, whatever we are at the moment, Melbourne time. You can work it out. I can't be bothered with all the letters. So come hang out with us and see if we can send off the year in some fun.
Will you be wearing a Santa's hat, Cracker?
Mate, it's so hot. I get so sweaty in those things. If I can find one, I might put one on.
Elf costume, anyone?
I'll have to dig up an old photo. We did a Carols by Candlelight thing, and my brother-in-law dressed up as Santa, and I was there in my red tights as the elf. No, I'll try to find a photo for you, J-Mud.
Red tights, Chewy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, share that one to Discord.
It was a sight, I guess we
I
could
looked
call it.
good. I looked so good. So, yeah, it was good.
Was a number of years ago now.
Yeah, I was probably 30 kilos lighter. So.
Anyway, like I said, if you want to find us, I'll just kind of do the last couple of bits. If you want to find us, come hang in our Discord. That's really just the best place to engage with us. You can join our events from there. We'll have a link to all of those places in the show notes. If you're looking for us on Twitch or Twitter or YouTube or Facebook, it's just Magic Beans Cast everywhere. You should be able to find us pretty easily. As always, check out Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. They really are wonderful sponsors of the show, and we're very, very pleased to, continue working with them. So please, have a look at what they've got on offer over the weekend and maybe pick yourself up a couple of sweet bargains. Otherwise, if you're wanting to contact myself directly on Twitter, you can do that at JoelHill_. And Chewy, you are?
At Chewy MTG.
And J-Mud, do you have a Twitter account?
This is my bit. Wow.
Yeah.
And J-Mud, you are?
J-Mud, you are?
At JMud_MTG.
Brilliant. All right. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. We've had a great time, and we hope you have too. And we will see you all very soon. Take care.